Well, it's been 2 months. I'm sorry for the delay for this, because school and life. So, yeah. And if you can probably tell by the title of this video, it's only going to be 10 instead of 20. Why only 10? Really, there's not really much bad Disney XD or Toon Disney shows. At least in my opinion. So, enough with the jibber jabber. Let's start this. Ultimate Spider-Man. This was a show that I said at one point in time was getting better than it originally was, but it's still kind of crappy. Yeah, so this isn't just supposed to be some regular old Spider-Man cartoon. This one is based off of the Ultimate Comics, which I've never read, though. You know, thank God for sites like Wikipedia, otherwise I wouldn't know shit about it. So, Ultimate Spider-Man, it does not even come close to following the Ultimate Comics. Heck, a bunch of things from the Ultimate Comics didn't even make it. Like mostly the designs and just how the characters are. Like, Rhino, for instance, instead of being, you know, the typical big Russian man, steering some sort of robotic armor that looks like a rhino, is now a little kid that drinks some rhino serum from Oscorp and becomes this giant rhino guy and feels like a ripoff of a villain from Kids Next Door. I swear to God, that was from Kids Next Door. And, what else? Well, Green Goblin, he's still big and doesn't look like the classic Green Goblin, but he doesn't have the horns, he's not part demon, and he doesn't perform pyrokinesis, you know, like the fucking Ultimate Green Goblin, which is a big letdown. I mean, maybe they thought parents would, you know, bitch about that, but, I mean, really, parents bitch about stupid stuff, but I doubt they would even care about this, and just, quite frankly, it's kind of a mess. And I could go on, though. My favorite villain in it is Doc Ock. Tom Kenny just has an awesome voice for him, and I do love the design. As for, you know, our main hero, Spider-Man, he's kind of an annoying dickwad. Drake Bell, not really who I think would be Spider-Man, and doesn't really, when I see him, you know, on screen, I'm thinking, that's not Spider-Man, that's Drake fucking Bell. His voice just doesn't really match for Spider-Man, and also, they do try to do some jokes, and they do kind of fail, like the fourth wall breaks, which are more of Deadpool's things, and how they interrupt some, like, though they cut down on that crap, which is a good thing, but it's still, it still, you know, makes it into the show, and is still stupid, like he's in the middle of fighting Venom. Oh my God, did you see that? Huh? Did you see that, kids? Were you paying attention? And then, oh, you Venom cooties. Just, I absolutely hate that stuff. Like I said, they cut down on it, but it's still prevalent. And also, when Spider-Man gets surprised, there's always a monkey sound. And he's just all wide-eyed and whatnot. Just, quite frankly, they could have done much better with Ultimate Spider-Man. Maybe follow a little bit closer to the comics and not try to be funny. Or at least, not try to be funny how they decided to do it. Some Power Ranger fans consider Operation Overdrive to be the worst season of Power Rangers. Worse than Power Rangers Turbo. I'm definitely one of those people. So, what do we have? Well, it starts off with this guy named Andrew Hartford who went out looking for something called the Corona Aurora, which is this crown, but, you know, taking it out of where it was, frees these two brothers named Florius and Moltar, who would instantly remind you of two certain characters from a certain Christmas special. Also, might I add, Moltar kind of reminds me of the Dino Megazord. Might just be the horns. And yeah, this this season of Power Rangers is also based off of Go-Go Sentai Bokenja, and is the 15th anniversary of Power Rangers. And we do get our main 5 Rangers and the 6 Rangers: Mac the Red Ranger, Will the Black Ranger, Dex the Blue Ranger, Ronnie the Yellow Ranger, Rose the Pink Ranger, and Taizan the Mercury Ranger. Oh, and there's also the Sentinel Knight, who was like the protector of the Corona Aurora, but some shit happened. I also add the Sentinel Knight costume that they have primarily in the show. Looks like crap. It looks like a terrible cosplay. They do get the Zuban costume, which is what Sentinel Knight was called in Bokenger. Excuse me, but they don't have it for the entire show, and the one that they did have, like I said, looks like shit. So, quite frankly, the Rangers have to help Mr. Hartford, get the jewels and stop Moltor and Florius, blah, 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 blah. Mac the Red Ranger is Andrew's son, and, well, Andrew is this incredibly rich guy, and he's got his butler named Spencer, and somehow, with the limited power that the Sentinel Knight had, he was able to build, like, 4 Megazords. I don't know how that's possible. I mean, with Lightspeed Rescue and SPD, those, had a bunch of people working on them. They were government-funded programs, but just one guy and some magical thing that has limited power. Then again, the Sentinel Knight's limited power always jumps around in the show. Yeah. And also, how could you fund them? I mean, you're rich, buy an army, but instead, spend more money to make 4 giant robots. By the way, I do like the robot designs in this. I mean, the combined funds of Bill Gates, Tony Stark, and Bruce Wayne probably couldn't afford all those. I mean, I don't care what universe this is. And, along with, having Florius and Moltor as villains who are incredibly bland, they also throw in 2 more factions of villains. There's this bitch named Miratrix and her master Camdor, who kind of looks cool but is a bit generic, and also sounds kind of like this. And he has no face. And there's also this other faction named the Fear Cats, and they could be awesome if the show wasn't limited to 30 episodes, and just how rushed it was. And there was also a crossover episode with 5 Rangers from past series. There's Adam from MMPR, Xander from Mystic Force, Bridge from SPD, Kira from Dino Thunder, and Tori from Ninja Storm. Although I've seen it, it's a bit of a mess. And quite frankly, I didn't care for any of these Rangers. They're all assholes. Oh, and they also do have civilian powers, but, none of them really make sense. I mean, Mac, he does have this strength, which, okay, fine. But then Will has, like, this, sightseeing thing, but his Zord is a race car, but, he was originally some sort of spy, but why not have it match with his Zord? But who's got the speed? Ronnie, even though, during the roll call in the Sentai footage, she's flexing like this. Rose, invisibility, might as well. Dax is the only one that makes sense, and Taizan, well, he's an alien. Also, there was a bit of a twist in the show, which added something. Mac was a robot that was built by Andrew because, well, he never met the right woman, and you get this disturbing image of Mac's disembodied head, and you see his body lying on a couch, and it's fucking creepy. Yeah, this show, just a mess, and not really something I would have as an anniversary show. That was actually longer. I know some people are going to want to kill me for having this show on here, but I don't care. This show, Kick Buttowski, oh my god, I really don't like it. So, it's about this kid named Kick Buttowski who is a suburban daredevil and always dresses up like he's Evil Knievel because he's so badass and he's got such a deep voice. And kind of looks like a male version of Mandy from Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. I don't know, I mean, he's short and he doesn't have a nose and his head is perfectly round, though he isn't 99% evil. And yeah, he does a bunch of stunts. Quite frankly, Kick is just a bit of a bland character, and he does have a best friend, Gunther, who's kind of like Carl Weezer from Jimmy Neutron. Though unlike Carl, who, you could see hanging out with this kid, Gunther's just kind of there, and quite frankly, I don't remember much from him except his parents were Vikings. And also, there is Kick's older brother, Brad, who I would fucking rip apart. I fucking hate this cunt. Quite frankly, he's like Terrence from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. The one thing that one of the two things I absolutely hated from that show. Why remind me of one of the few things I hated from a good show, Disney? Why? And the other characters aren't that interesting either. There's this old bitch that lives in Kick's cul-de-sac, and, well, she's a tattletale. Quite frankly, I didn't care for any of these characters. The episodes go by so fast that you'll instantly forget what the fuck just happened. And it's just an overall mess. It's like Rocket Power meets Johnny Test meets Evel Knievel. Nothing meshes. Oh, and a little bit of Jimmy Neutron in there. And Foster's. I just hated this show. It's a sequel to Earth's Mightiest Heroes. It's a sequel to the movies. It's in the same universe as Ultimate Spider-Man. That was the 3 things that Marvel said to cover up their asses for this show. And you want to know which one of those are true? Well, only one of them. It's in the same universe as Ultimate Spider-Man. It's not a sequel to Earth's Mightiest Heroes, because if it was, it'd make even less sense than it already does. And it's not a sequel to the movies because, well, Falcon is in his costume, his classic comic design. And, well, if you've seen Captain America the Winter Soldier, you know he looks nothing like that. And though some of the other designs are kind of movie-like, but you'd have to see that for yourself. So, essentially, this could be like Earth's Mightiest Heroes, except the characters are so fucking unlikable that it hurts. No one likes each other. Captain America is Captain Douchebag. Iron Man is Iron Fuck You. Black Widow is Black Bitch. Oh, Jesus. Okay, Bitch Widow. I probably shouldn't have said that. Sounded a little racist. Hawkeye is Hawkeye Sore. Hulk is not really incredible. He's actually kind of calm. He's never angry. Yeah, never, and nor does he even transform back into Bruce Banner. And if he does, it's rare that he does. And Thor is the mighty Thor. Blah. And Falcon, I could care less about. Yeah, and, why was Earth's Mightiest Heroes canceled for this? Quite frankly, I don't know. Man, this show just so bland. I don't care for any of the characters. MODOK, in terms of villains, MODOK looks hideous. Red Skull is kind of the main villain in it, which, really? Though there is one advantage over this show, over Earth's Mightiest Heroes, is that this one at least has Thanos in it. Then again, Earth's Mightiest Heroes didn't get to Thanos because it got cancelled. So yeah, just a train wreck. Oh, fuck me. It's the infection of the disease known as It's a Laugh Productions. The other show, funny enough, is also produced by a production company called Poor Soul Productions. It's like they're aware that this show is shit! Oh, God. So, what's this show about? Well, it's about this group of friends that do karate at this one, place called, like, the Wasabi place or whatever the fuck it is. And Jason Earls, Jackson from Hannah Montana is their master or sensei. At least this time he's playing someone, Jason Earls is playing someone that's at least his age instead of pretending he's like in high school or some shit like that. And, well, he is a lot better than he was in Hannah Montana, but that's like saying the dog taking a dump in the backyard is better than it taking a dump in the front yard. Either way, it's a big mess. In terms of the other characters, there's Jack, Milton, Jerry, Kim, Eddie, Rudy. Kim left at the end of Season 3 because I'm sure Olivia Holt had something to do. It was probably that terrible show, I Didn't Do It, which I'm not going to repeat my thoughts on it because you can check out my worst Disney Channel shows. There's Jack. You know what? Jack, Milton, Jerry, Eddie, Rudy. I could care less about any of these characters because, quite frankly, they're all bland. I don't care about whatever happens to them. Although I think it's... I can't remember who's the stereotypical white guy in this, but because I didn't care enough. But, well, he's annoying. Oh, and this show also has that annoying laugh track that laughs at terribly made jokes and makes you want to hit your head against the wall until you see your brain splattering all over the place. God. Oh, jeez. Kicking it, more like me getting kicked in the balls. It's that bad. Pair of Kings. So, what's it about? It's about these two fraternal twins named Brady and Boomer, which is strange because Brady is Mitchell Musso and Boomer is Doc Shaw. And Mitchell Musso is white, Doc Shaw is black. I'm not a professional in genetics or genetology, whatever the technical term is, but I don't know if it's possible to have to have twins and have it be one white child and one black child. That's just me. So yeah, one day they're in school and then some dipshit comes in and tells them that they are heirs to the throne of some island, and they go to this island and there's all sorts of different shenanigans with annoying laugh tracks along the way. Yeah, this episode, quite frankly, show is just mess and was the beginning of, well, Disney's demise with Disney XD. Yeah, annoying laugh tracks, just bland characters. I never cared for them. Just, avoid this show at all costs. So, Lab Rats. Alright, we're diving into something that's kind of sci-fi-like, but still terrible. So what's it about? Well, it's about this kid named Leo, whose him and his mom move in with his new stepdad, Donald, and his dad is Douglas. You know, like Donald and Douglas from Thomas. That's not funny. So yeah, Leo discovers that, well, Donald is this inventor guy who created these things called lab rats, although they're humans with bionic powers. There's Chase, Adam, and Bree, who have, like, they can make there's force fields, speed, extra hearing, you name it. Quite frank, the three, well, rats, as they call them, bland, as you'd expect. So is Leo, and looking at Leo, he makes me want to go see an episode of Everybody Hates Chris, which is definitely the thing you should be doing instead of watching Lab Rats. Yeah, and Donald, I could care less about him. Nothing about the show is interesting, and laugh track. Jesus. Well, there's 3 more to go. Can't be that bad, right? Anyone remember Cousin Skeeter on Nickelodeon from back in the day? Where it was about some puppets who lived with real humans and they did a bunch of crazy stuff? This is kind of like that, except with white people, laugh track, and just crap. Instead of it being old school Nickelodeon, it's current Disney. Oh, God. So essentially, this one kid named Wyatt, he went to some place called the Build-A-Bestie, which sounds a lot like Build-A-Bear, where he makes a puppet named Crash who comes to life. And, well, Crash is a retarded puppet. And it also brings up one thing. Disney, you've got this one thing called the Muppets. Why not do a Muppet show instead of this half-assed attempt at, some from the 90s when, you own the Muppets? Have a Muppet show instead of this. Be a whole lot better. Yeah, quite frankly, Crash is an annoying dickwad who, quite frankly, I would tear apart and throw in the garbage the second I had the chance. Wyatt's kind of bland, and so are all the other characters. Laugh track, But yeah, the show really makes me wonder, why not do a Muppet show? Why not do a Muppet show? Why create this new puppet-like character and make a show about it when you could do Muppets? Why? I don't get it. I don't get it. Someone get on the phone with Disney and tell them to make a Muppet show. They cancel this. Somebody, come on. I'll try, but I don't think I'll get far. Why? My little brother brought up something interesting about this show. It's a superhero hospital, but why aren't there any Marvel characters in it? At first I thought, good point, but then I thought, if there were Marvel characters in this, Marvel fans would be pissed off and probably would have burned down Marvel by now. Because this show is garbage. It's about these two kids named Oliver and Kaz. I don't know what kind of name Kaz is. Ugh. Yeah, so they work at this hospital called Mighty Med, which is at their local hospital where they treat, injured superheroes that were injured in action. And people that don't have powers are called normos. Really, that's the best you could come up with. Harry Potter came up with some better. Muggles and normos. Heck, normos even kind of sounds like muggles. So, yeah. Oliver and Kaz, I didn't really care for them, and they are bland as hell characters. And none of the superheroes they treat are interesting. They're just generic, and quite frankly, makes you want to see a Marvel cartoon. Not the ones that you saw on this list, but some else superhero-like nonetheless. That's much better. And now for number 1. Oh god. This fucking show. Where do I begin? Alright, let's start off with, the actual band themselves. They call themselves Iron Weasel. Kind of like Iron Maiden, except it's a weasel. And it's not cute and fuzzy and feeding trolls. So, in terms of, the 3 core band members, we're not gonna get to our main character yet. There's the main singer of it, who's British and cocky and a retard, named Derek Jupiter. Kind of like Freddie Mercury, except stupid and unlikable. And then there's this fat ass of the band, because, a lot of bands have fat asses. Burger Pitt. No, I am not kidding. And he loves eating food, because he's fat, so he's gotta love food, right? Yeah. And then there's another one named Ash. He's just Ash. They didn't even bother giving him a last name. And it's not Ash from Pokemon or Evil Dead. And, oh god. These 3 are some of the biggest dickwads I've ever seen. Although our main character, his name is Trip. Iron Weasel saw Trip and they're like, "You want to be in our band? Yeah!" Even though it doesn't exactly work that way, but I digress. Quite frankly, Iron Weasel lives with Trip because, you know, they're broke and they're too lazy to get fucking jobs. And, oh god, I watched an episode of this show and immediately I wanted to shoot myself. I mean, the other ones, you know, as the show went on, I wanted to. This one, right out of the gate. The characters are so unlikable, annoying ass laugh tracks, just awful stereotyping at its finest. So yeah, that was the top 10 worst Toon Disney / Disney XD shows. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you all later.